What if the universe, the stars lighting up the night sky, the warmth of the sun on your skin, even the thoughts swirling in your mind, wasn't real at all? What if it was all just an incredibly advanced simulation, lines of code running on some unfathomable supercomputer? It sounds like science fiction, but some of the brightest minds in physics and philosophy have seriously considered this possibility. Think about the video games you've played where entire worlds exist because of programming. Now imagine scaling that up, way up, to a reality so detailed, so seamless, that we'd never question its authenticity. That's the heart of the simulation hypothesis, and it raises questions that could change everything we think we know about existence. Look around you. The screen you're watching right now, the device in your hand, the room you're sitting in, all of it feels undeniably real. But here's the twist: our perception of reality is already something of an illusion. Virtual reality headsets trick our brains into believing we're somewhere else entirely. Advanced video games simulate physics, weather, even emotions so convincingly that players forget they're just interacting with code. If technology can do that today, what's stopping a civilization far more advanced from creating a simulation indistinguishable from reality? The unsettling truth is nothing. And the more we learn about quantum mechanics, the fabric of space-time, and the strange glitches in our universe, the more plausible this idea becomes. That's why we're diving deep into 30 chilling ways our universe might just be a simulation. From eerie mathematical patterns woven into the cosmos to the unsettling limits of our own perception, each clue builds a case that's hard to ignore. Could black holes be data storage for the simulation? Why does reality seem to operate in pixels, tiny, indivisible units when you zoom in far enough? And what about those moments when déjà vu hits, or when the world around you stutters just for a split second? We'll explore the science, the philosophy, and the spine-tingling coincidences that suggest we might be living in something far stranger than we ever imagined. So buckle up, because by the end of this journey, reality might not look the same again. One of the most startling clues that our universe might be a simulation comes straight from the bizarre rules of quantum mechanics. At the tiniest scales of reality, the fabric of space and time isn't smooth and continuous. It's broken into minuscule, indivisible chunks like pixels on a screen. This smallest possible unit is called the Planck length, a distance so unimaginably tiny that if you blew up a single atom to the size of the observable universe, the Planck length would still only be about as big as a tree. And just like how a digital image loses clarity when you zoom in too far, revealing blocky pixels, our universe might be secretly pixelated at this fundamental level. Take the famous double-slit experiment, where particles like electrons behave in ways that defy logic. When scientists fire electrons one by one at a barrier with two slits, they don't just pass through like tiny bullets, they act like waves, creating an interference pattern on the other side. But here's the weird part: when you try to observe which slit the electron actually goes through, it suddenly switches to behaving like a single particle. It's almost as if the universe is rendering the electron's behavior on the fly, adjusting its properties based on whether someone's watching. Just like a video game reduces detail in areas the player isn't looking at to save processing power. Even stranger, quantum physics suggests particles don't have fixed states until they're measured. They exist in a haze of probabilities, like unfinished code waiting to be executed. This mirrors how virtual worlds optimize resources, only loading fully detailed textures when a player looks directly at them. Could the universe be doing the same thing, conserving computational power by only rendering reality when it's observed? The idea sounds like science fiction, but the math behind quantum mechanics eerily supports it. Then there's the uncanny way light and energy come in discrete packets called quanta, never in fractions. It's like the universe runs on a strict digital currency, no half coins allowed. even time itself might not flow smoothly but tick forward in plank-sized increments, a cosmic frame rate we're too slow to perceive. If reality is a simulation, these pixels of space and time could be the underlying code, with quantum weirdness as the glitches in the system. So the next time you notice something slightly off, like déjà vu or a fleeting shadow at the corner of your eye, ask yourself, are you seeing the seams of the simulation? The universe runs on math and invisible code so precise it borders on perfection. Think about gravity for a moment. Drop a pen, and it falls at exactly 9.8 meters per second squared every single time, no exceptions. The speed of light, a constant 299,792,458 meters per second, never wavering, as if locked in place by some unchangeable rule. Even the force binding atoms together follows equations so exact that if you tweak them by just a fraction, stars wouldn't shine, molecules wouldn't form, and life itself would be impossible. It's as if reality were built on a foundation of flawless mathematical scripts, not rough approximations, but razor-sharp formulas that keep everything running without a single error. Take the fine structure constant, a number so crucial it dictates how light interacts with matter. If this value were even slightly different, chemistry as we know it would collapse. No DNA, no planets, no universe capable of hosting conscious beings. It's like a password typed into the cosmos, and somehow we're living in the one version where every digit was entered correctly. Even more unnerving, many of these constants don't need to be this precise. There's no obvious reason why the strength of gravity couldn't be a little stronger or weaker. Yet here we are, in a universe where everything balances on a knife's edge. This precision goes beyond mere coincidence. When physicists simulate alternate universes in supercomputers, adjusting even one fundamental constant by a hair often leads to chaotic, lifeless voids. It's as if our reality were fine-tuned, or perhaps programmed, to allow complexity to exist, and the deeper we look, the more math we find. Galaxies spin according to equations, black holes bend space-time with geometric precision, and quantum particles dance to statistical rhythms. If the universe were a novel, math would be its language, written so elegantly that it suggests an author. Could this mathematical perfection be evidence of a simulation? Think about video game engines. They rely on rigid physics formulas to create believable worlds: gravity, collision, light propagation, all governed by code. If a glitch disrupts those rules, the virtual world breaks. Our universe behaves the same way, just with far more sophistication. The equations don't feel discovered so much as revealed, hidden layers of logic waiting to be decoded. So the next time you see a rainbow or watch a planet's orbit, ask yourself, are you witnessing nature's laws or reading lines of cosmic source code? Imagine playing an open-world video game where distant mountains are just blurry textures until you get closer. Then suddenly, details snap into focus. Our universe might work the same way. Quantum mechanics suggests reality doesn't fully exist until it's observed, like a game engine loading assets only when a player looks. This isn't just philosophical musing, it's baked into experiments. Take Schrödinger's famous cat, simultaneously alive and dead until someone opens the box. In simulation terms, that box might be like an unrendered part of the map, its contents undecided until the system needs to display it. Quantum entanglement adds another layer of strangeness. When two particles become entangled, changing one instantly affects the other, even if they're light years apart. Einstein called this spooky action at a distance, but in a simulation it makes perfect sense. Think of it like real-time data. Streaming the universe doesn't need to calculate each particle's state independently. Instead, it links them with a line of code, updating both simultaneously to save processing power. It's why entangled particles seem to communicate faster than light. They're not sending signals, they're sharing the same variable in the program. even our everyday experience hints at rendering limits. Ever walked into a room and forgotten why, only to remember when you see an object that triggers the thought? It's as if your mind loaded the memory on demand. Or consider how dreams construct elaborate worlds in milliseconds, filling in details only as you notice them. The Mandela Effect, where large groups misremember events identically, could be glitches in collective rendering, like a patch update altering assets without telling players. The craziest part, this might explain why the universe has a speed limit, light's maximum velocity. In a simulation, processing everything at once would be impossibly resource-heavy. By capping how fast information can travel, the system prevents overload, like a game slowing down when too many explosions happen on screen. So when you stare at the stars, wondering if they're really there, remember, they might not be. Not until you look, and that flicker at the edge of your vision could just be the universe buffering. The eerie silence of the cosmos might be the biggest clue we're living in a simulation. Think about it, the universe is unimaginably vast, with billions of galaxies, each containing billions of stars. Statistically, intelligent life should be everywhere. So where is everybody? This is the Fermi Paradox, the haunting disconnect between how many aliens should exist and how many we've actually met. One chilling explanation: we're alone because we're not really out there at all. Instead, we might be living in a carefully crafted simulation where Earth is the only populated planet, a lone experiment running on some advanced civilization's cosmic hard drive. Philosopher Nick Bostrom framed this idea as a trilemma, a set of three possibilities that are almost impossible to ignore. First, nearly all civilizations destroy themselves before becoming advanced enough to create simulations. Second, if they do survive, they lose interest in building ancestor simulations altogether. But the third option, they do create simulations so many that the odds of us living in base reality are astronomically small. Picture a future where post-human civilizations have the power to simulate entire universes, complete with conscious beings who believe they're real. If that's true, simulated minds would vastly outnumber organic ones, making it far more likely we're just lines of code in someone else's project. Now imagine a cosmic server farm stacked with simulations running in parallel. Some might be historical recreations, others philosophical experiments, or even entertainment. And in one of those simulations, there's Earth, a self-contained world where the cosmos appears infinite. But the truth is, nothing exists beyond the boundaries of our observation. This would explain why we've never found alien signals despite decades of listening. If we're in a simulation, the programmers might have simply left the rest of the universe empty to save processing power. Or maybe other civilizations are just background noise, non-playable characters in a game we're not meant to interact with. Even our own technological progress hints at this. Right now, we're already creating rudimentary virtual worlds, video games with physics, AI that mimics conversation, VR that fools our senses. If humanity survives long enough, it's not hard to imagine us building hyper-realistic ancestor simulations. And if we could do it, why wouldn't a more advanced civilization? The math suggests there's only one way our reality isn't simulated. If intelligent life always goes extinct before reaching that capability. So the next time you gaze at the stars and wonder why they're so silent, consider this. Maybe the universe isn't empty. Maybe it's just rendered. Déjà vu, that spine-tingling feeling you've lived this moment before, might be more than just a brain hiccup. It could be a glitch in the simulation, a fleeting glimpse behind the digital curtain. Scientists often explain déjà vu as a brief misfire in the brain's memory systems, where the present gets accidentally tagged as the past. But imagine if it's not your brain misfiring, it's the universe's code stuttering. In a simulated reality, déjà vu might be a memory buffer error, like a file accidentally loading twice or a skipped frame in a video game replaying. Think about how computers handle memory. When two processes try to access the same data simultaneously, you get a conflict, a temporary overlap where the system gets confused about what's happening now versus what happened before. Your brain's hippocampus, the region responsible for memory, operates similarly, cataloging experiences in real time. If the simulation's memory allocation glitches even for a millisecond, you might briefly remember an event that's actively unfolding, creating that eerie sensation of reliving the moment. Even stranger are cases of collective déjà vu, where multiple people swear they've experienced the same event before. In simulation terms, this could be a localized rendering error, like a patch of code momentarily resetting, causing a group of characters to briefly access the same cached memory. Some video games have eerily similar bugs, where NPCs suddenly repeat dialogue or environments flicker between states. If our universe runs on similar architecture, déjà vu might be the human equivalent of catching the system mid-update. Then there's the uncanny precision of these moments. Déjà vu often hits during mundane activities, reaching for a doorknob, hearing a specific phrase, events so trivial they'd be perfect candidates for optimization. A simulated universe might recycle generic interactions to save processing power, and when the system slips up, you get a split-second preview of the recycled code. It's like walking through a game level and spotting the same tree model reused in the distance, except here, the recycled asset is your own memory, the most unsettling part. Déjà vu sometimes comes with a surreal, dreamlike quality, as if reality itself is slightly off. That's exactly how glitches feel in virtual environments, subtle distortions hinting at the artificial framework beneath. So the next time you're hit with that inexplicable wave of familiarity, ask yourself, did your brain misfire or did you just catch the simulation buffering? Look closely at a fern leaf and you'll notice something unsettling. The smaller branches mirror the larger ones, repeating in patterns so precise they feel designed. Zoom out to satellite images of river deltas and you'll see the same branching shapes etched into the landscape. Even galaxies, those colossal swirls of stars, twist in spirals that echo the curves of a seashell. This isn't just coincidence, it's fractal geometry, the mathematical signature of a universe that might be running on algorithms. Fractals are infinite loops of self-similarity, where tiny fragments contain the blueprint of the whole. The Mandelbrot set, one of the most famous fractals, reveals endless complexity no matter how far you zoom in, delicate tendrils of numbers that never repeat exactly but always feel eerily familiar. It's like peering into a cosmic kaleidoscope where the rules never change, only the scale. Now imagine this, if nature's patterns, cloud formations, mountain ranges, even the branching of your own veins follow these exact mathematical recipes, could they be evidence of procedural generation? In video games, developers use fractal algorithms to create realistic terrain automatically. The universe might be doing the same thing. Here's where it gets chilling. When researchers overlay zoomed-in Mandelbrot fractals onto photos of natural landscapes, the boundaries blur. Lightning forks mimic the jagged edges of mathematical chaos. Coastlines duplicate the crinkled borders of fractal equations. It's as if reality were generated by a recursive formula, an infinite copy-and-paste function hidden in the fabric of space. Even time itself might fractalize. Think of how history repeats in cycles, or how your daily routines nest within larger patterns of seasons and generations. The most haunting part, fractals are computationally efficient. A simple formula can generate infinite complexity, saving memory and processing power. If the universe is a simulation, fractals would be the perfect tool to build it. A way to create the illusion of endless detail without actually rendering every atom. So the next time you trace the veins of a leaf or stare at the whirlpool in your coffee, ask yourself, are you seeing nature's artistry or the ghostly fingerprints of a cosmic programmer? Ever wondered why nothing in the universe can outpace light? It's not just a rule, it might be a built-in limit to keep the simulation from crashing. Think of it like your computer struggling to run too many programs at once. The faster data moves, the more processing power it demands. Now scale that up to cosmic levels. If every star, planet, and particle could zip around at unlimited speeds, the system tracking it all would buckle under the strain. The speed of light could be the universe's way of throttling performance, like a cosmic frame rate cap to prevent lag in the grand simulation. Virtual reality offers a creepy parallel. Put on a VR headset, and you'll notice the world around you moves smoothly until you spin too quickly. The screen can't keep up, and reality fragments into a blur. To fix this, engineers impose strict frame rate limits, ensuring the system only renders what you're focused on at a speed the hardware can handle. Our universe might operate the same way. Light speed limit, 299,792,458 meters per second, could be the simulation's rendering threshold, the maximum speed at which information can update without causing catastrophic errors. Even black holes hint at this constraint. Their event horizons are like cosmic buffer zones, places where the simulation's processing grinds to a halt. Nothing escapes because beyond that point, the system refuses to compute, like a computer freezing when too many tabs are open. And just as VR headsets reduce detail in your peripheral vision to save resources, the universe might prioritize rendering only what's observed. Distant galaxies, they could be low-resolution placeholders until we point a telescope their way. The strangest evidence comes from quantum entanglement, where particles instantly influence each other across vast distances, seemingly breaking light speed limit. But in a simulation, this makes perfect sense. Entangled particles aren't sending signals, they're sharing the same line of code. Updating one automatically updates the other, no speed required. It's not magic, it's optimized programming. So the next time you hear light can't be outpaced, consider this. It's not the universe holding us back, it's the processors. Have you ever walked past someone on the street who seemed almost too predictable, like they were following a script? The barrister who gives the same cheerful greeting every morning, the coworker stuck in an endless loop of weather small talk, or that one neighbor who takes the exact same route at the same time day after day. It's almost like they're programmed, moving through life with the robotic precision of a non-playable character in a video game. And weirdly enough, science suggests this isn't just your imagination. Studies analyzing human behavior reveal staggering predictability in our daily routines. One experiment tracking cell phone data found that most people stick to just 25 unique locations over 90% of their lives, as if trapped in an invisible algorithm of habit. Then there's the way we communicate. Linguists have identified social scripts, prepackaged phrases and reactions we recycle endlessly. How are you? Fine, thanks. Nice weather today. These exchanges are so automated that if someone deviates, like actually answering, "How are you?" honestly, it feels jarring, like a glitch in the system. Psychologists compare it to chatbots. We're running on subconscious code, pulling from a limited library of responses to save mental processing power. Even our emotions follow patterns. Researchers using AI to analyze facial expressions found that most people's surprised or angry faces are nearly identical, as if we're all working from the same set of emotive presets. The NPC meme phenomenon taps into this eeriness perfectly. Those viral videos of crowds moving in unison at crosswalks or concertgoers nodding identically to music. They highlight how easily humans slip into hive mind behavior, mirroring each other with uncanny synchronicity. In open-world games, NPCs often walk preset paths, repeating canned dialogue when players interact. Compare that to rush hour sidewalks where commuters funnel through the same intersections like background characters in a city simulation. The difference. We assume we're the protagonists, but what if we're just background noise in someone else's playthrough? Here's the twist. Some philosophers argue this predictability might be intentional. In a simulated universe, repetitive behaviors optimize resources. Think of it like a video game's level of detail system, where distant NPCs loop simple animations to save rendering power. If consciousness is the most processor-heavy function, maybe most people are running on low-resolution settings not because they're not real, but because the simulation conserves complexity for moments that truly need it. So the next time you catch yourself mindlessly scrolling or recycling the same small talk, ask, are you conserving energy or is the simulation conserving you? Quantum uncertainty isn't just a quirk of physics. It could be the universe's way of optimizing its rendering budget. Imagine opening a video game settings menu and lowering the graphics quality to reduce lag. Distant objects blur, textures simplify, and non-essential details fade until you look directly at them. Now apply that logic to Schrödinger's infamous cat, trapped in its box, neither alive nor dead until someone peers inside. In simulation terms, that box isn't just closed, it's unprocessed. The system hasn't bothered to calculate the cat's state because no observer is calling for the data. The moment you lift the lid, the universe snaps into action, generating an outcome like a game loading a high-resolution texture the second you turn a corner. This isn't just speculation, it's how quantum mechanics actually works. Particles don't have definite positions or spins until measured. Electrons exist as probability clouds sprawling across space like unfinished equations. The act of observation forces them to choose a state, as if the simulation is finalizing a variable in real time. It's eerily similar to how procedurally generated worlds operate. In games like No Man's Sky, planets don't fully exist until a player lands on them. The terrain, creatures, even the weather are determined the instant you arrive, saving memory by not pre-rendering billions of uncharted worlds. Our universe might run on the same principle, only resolving quantum possibilities when absolutely necessary. Even the double-slit experiment supports this. When unobserved, particles behave like waves, exploring multiple paths simultaneously, a clever optimization trick. Why calculate one precise trajectory when you can compute a spread of possibilities and collapse them later? It's like a streaming service adjusting video quality based on your internet speed, except here, the buffering is reality itself. And just as lag causes glitches, a face failing to load in a video call, quantum indeterminacy, might explain those fleeting moments when reality feels off. Ever dropped something only for it to seem suspended in midair for a millisecond, or noticed a clock's second hand freeze longer than it should? These could be processing delays, the universe struggling to render your observation on time. The unsettling implication: there might be no true state of anything until it's measured. Colors, sounds, even the solidity of objects could be generated on demand, like a VR headset crafting visuals only where your eyes are focused. So the next time you glance at the moon and assume it's always been there, ask yourself, did it really exist in that exact form before you looked, or did the simulation simply fill in the details when you raised your eyes? Remember the Berenstain Bears, those beloved storybook characters, except wait, you could swear their name was spelled Berenstein with an E. Right, you're not alone. Millions of people vividly recall the E version down to specific childhood books and TV show titles. But here's the unsettling truth: it's always been Berenstain with an A. This isn't a case of mass misremembering, it's the Mandela Effect, a phenomenon where large groups share identical false memories and one spine-chilling explanation. These aren't mistakes at all, they're evidence of the simulation updating its code, leaving behind glitches in our collective consciousness. The Mandela Effect gets its name from Nelson Mandela, or at least the version of Mandela that thousands remember dying in prison during the 1980s. In reality, he was released, became South Africa's president, and passed away in 2013. Yet countless people insist they recall news coverage of his funeral decades earlier, complete with footage of weeping crowds. Other examples are just as jarring. The Monopoly Man's monocle never existed. Darth Vader's line, "Luke, I am your father," actually just "No, I am your father." Even geography shifts. South America seems farther east than many recall, and Alaska appears too large on maps compared to their mental image. Side-by-side comparisons make these discrepancies even weirder. Dig up an old Berenstain Bears book, and the cover clearly shows the A, yet forums overflow with people describing specific memories of the E spelling right down to arguing with teachers about it. If this were just bad memory, why would so many misremember the same details? In video games, when developers patch content, altering a character's design or tweaking dialogue, players who remember the original version call it Mandela. Could our universe operate the same way? A silent update rolls out, changing small details, and those who notice become unwitting archivists of discarded code. The most haunting part, these shifts often center on trivial details: brand logos, movie quotes, children's books, precisely the kind of low-priority data a simulation might optimize or correct. In a virtual world, updating major historical events would risk catastrophic coherence errors, but tweaking Mr. Peanut's monocle or the fruit of the loom cornucopia. That's like swapping a texture file. The system assumes no one will scrutinize the changes too closely, except we did, and every time you stumble upon one of these glitches, you're left wondering, was the universe always like this, or did someone just hit save? DNA might just be the universe's most elegant programming language. Think about it: every living thing on Earth, from towering redwoods to microscopic bacteria, runs on the same basic code. Just like binary uses zeros and ones to store information, DNA uses 4 chemical letters: adenine pairing with thymine, cytosine with guanine, a T-CG, simple, predictable couplings that form the backbone of all genetic instructions. It's as if life itself were written in a cosmic version of machine code, with these base pairs acting like binary switches, turning genes on and off with precision. Even the way DNA replicates, unzipping down the middle and rebuilding each side, mirrors how computers copy data bit by bit, but the programming doesn't stop there. Look at a sunflower's spiraling seeds, and you'll spot the Fibonacci sequence, a mathematical pattern where each number is the sum of the 2 before it. These golden ratios appear everywhere: pine cones, hurricanes, even the curl of a nautilus shell. In tech terms, these aren't just pretty accidents, they're the result of optimization algorithms. Video games use similar math to generate forests or mountain ranges efficiently. If nature follows the same rules, could it be because the universe is running on similar procedural code? The deeper you dig, the more it feels like reality has a developer. Take protein folding, where chains of amino acids twist into perfect 3D shapes to perform cellular functions. Scientists use supercomputers to simulate these folds, and the calculations are so complex they rival weather modeling. Yet inside your body, proteins fold flawlessly in microseconds, as if executing preloaded routine. Even evolution has an eerie resemblance to machine learning: random mutations acting like code tweaks, with natural selection as the error correction protocol. Over millennia, life iterates just like an AI, refining its output. Now picture this: strands of DNA flickering like lines of code in a holographic display, base pairs flashing as they transmit instructions. It's not just sci-fi imagery. Quantum biology suggests DNA might even harness quantum entanglement to optimize genetic processes. If true, that would mean life's blueprint operates on principles eerily close to quantum computing, where particles share states across distances. The implications are staggering. We're not just made of stardust, we might be made of scripts running on hardware so advanced it blurs the line between biology and technology. So the next time you see a butterfly's wings or the branches of a tree, ask yourself, Are you looking at nature's artistry or the ghostly glow of a universe compiling itself in real time? Pain is the universe's most convincing argument for its own reality. When you stub your toe or burn your hand, that searing, undeniable sensation floods every nerve, screaming, "This is real." But what if that agony isn't biological at all? What if pain is just another line of code, an ultra-high-fidelity simulation designed to keep us believing in the illusion? Think about the most advanced VR haptic suits today. They use tiny motors and pressure pads to mimic punches, raindrops, even the brush of a spider crawling up your arm. The sensations feel real because they trigger the same neural pathways as physical stimuli. Now imagine scaling that up to a cosmic level, where every scraped knee and migraine is rendered with perfect, terrifying precision. Pain serves a critical evolutionary purpose. It teaches us to avoid danger. Touch fire once, and your brain hardwires the lesson. In a simulated reality, pain would need to fulfill the same role, creating consequences convincing enough to shape behavior. Video games do this all the time. Take damage in a game and your character stumbles. The screen flashes red feedback loops that teach you to dodge attacks. Our universe might be running a far more sophisticated version, where suffering isn't just a warning but a tether, anchoring us to the simulation's rules. Here's where it gets unsettling. Some chronic pain patients report phantom sensations, burning, stabbing, crushing with no physical cause. Doctors call it neuropathic pain, but in simulation terms, it could be a rendering glitch, like a corrupted texture file stuck replaying. Even stranger are accounts of terminal lucidity, where dementia patients suddenly regain clarity moments before death, as if their consciousness is being unplugged from degenerative code. And consider this, we can't remember physical pain. You know touching a hot stove hurt, but you can't relive the sensation, just like how a video game's damage indicators disappear after healing. Perhaps the darkest implication is that simulated pain would need no organic origin. Trauma could be purely algorithmic, a variable dialed up or down by the simulation's architects. Veterans with PTSD sometimes describe flashbacks as reliving events, not recalling, but truly being back in the moment. If time is code, maybe trauma is just a loop the system refuses to close. So the next time you wince at a dentist's drill, ask yourself, are you feeling nerves firing, or is the universe convincing you it's real, one excruciating line of code at a time? Time doesn't flow at the same speed everywhere, and that might be the simulation's most clever optimization hack. Near a black hole, gravity warps spacetime so severely that time slows to a crawl compared to the outside universe. In Interstellar, when Cooper's crew visits Miller's planet orbiting Gargantua, every hour on the surface costs them 7 years back home. It's not just sci-fi drama, it's real physics called time dilation. But here's the mind-bending twist. In a simulated reality, this could be the universe's way of conserving processing power, like a computer throttling performance in demanding areas to avoid crashing. Think of it like lag in an online game. When too many players crowd one server, the system slows down to handle the load, creating delays. Black holes are the ultimate high-traffic zones, where gravity's pull is so intense that light itself can't escape. If the universe is a simulation, these cosmic anomalies might require exponentially more resources to calculate, forcing the system to reduce its update rate, what we perceive as time slowing. Miller's planet isn't just a dramatic setting, it's a rendering bottleneck, a place where the simulation prioritizes accuracy over speed, like a graphics card struggling to render explosions in real time. Even stranger is how time dilation scales precisely with gravity. GPS satellites orbiting Earth have to account for microseconds of time difference caused by our planet's weaker gravity, proof that the effect isn't limited to black holes. In simulation terms, this could be a tiered processing system. Low-gravity zones like empty space run at full speed because they're easier to compute. High-gravity areas throttle back, trading temporal resolution for stability. It's why a clock on a mountain ticks slightly faster than one at sea level. The simulation is allocating resources dynamically, like a game lowering frame rates in complex scenes. The creepiest part, time dilation, might explain why we've never observed the interior of a black hole. Beyond the event horizon, time could slow to a near halt relative to our perspective, like a frozen loading screen. To an outside observer, matter falling in appears to stretch into infinity, never quite crossing the threshold, not because it's stuck, but because the simulation refuses to render the unfathomable physics inside. So when you watch Interstellar's tidal waves crawling across Miller's planet, remember, that eerie slowness might not be artistic license. It could be a glimpse of the universe's source code struggling to keep up. The placebo effect is one of medicine's most baffling phenomena. A sugar pill erasing pain, a saline injection curing depression, or a fake surgery restoring mobility. But what if these miracles aren't just quirks of the mind? What if they're proof we can hack the simulation with nothing but belief? Take a groundbreaking study where patients with Parkinson's disease were given placebo pills they believed contained real medication. Their brains responded by flooding with dopamine, the exact chemical they'd have gotten from actual drugs. Even wilder, when researchers later told them the pills were fake, their symptoms returned, as if their conviction had literally rewritten their biology, if only temporarily. This isn't just psychology, it's physics in disguise. Quantum particles change behavior when observed, and human bodies seem to follow the same rule. In one trial, asthmatics given fake inhalers experienced widened airways until doctors revealed the devices were empty. Their lungs had obeyed expectation, not pharmacology. It's eerily similar to how video games render health bars refilling when a player drinks a potion, whether the liquid is magical or not. The game doesn't care what's in the vial, it responds to the action of consumption. Our universe might work the same way, with belief acting as the trigger command. Consider how placebos work even when patients know they're taking them. In open-label studies, people handed sugar pills marked placebo still report pain relief. If the simulation theory holds, this makes perfect sense. Consent isn't about tricking the mind, it's about aligning intention with the system's rules. Like pressing a button labeled heal, the label matters less than the act of pressing. This could explain why rituals, prayer, meditation, even lucky charms have tangible effects. They're not summoning external forces, they're inputting cheat codes directly into reality's source. The implications are staggering. If belief can mend bones or shrink tumors without medicine, then illness might just be a user interface, a visual representation of deeper code. Chronic pain that vanishes under hypnosis, warts disappearing after sham light therapy, these aren't flukes. They're glimpses of the simulation's debug mode, moments when the mind overrides the body's programming. So the next time you pop an aspirin and feel relief before it's even hit your bloodstream, ask yourself, did the pill heal you, or did you just convince the universe to tweak your settings? Ever spotted a UFO zipping across the sky at impossible speeds, only to vanish mid-air like a glitch in reality? What if those aren't alien spacecraft, but admin avatars, the simulation's equivalent of developers popping in to tweak the code? Think about it. When a video game crashes, programmers log in as invisible entities to fix bugs, their avatars flickering in and out of existence. UFOs behave suspiciously similar. Witnesses report them disappearing suddenly, as if someone hit escape on their rendering. Some even describe them distorting like corrupted graphics, shape-shifting mid-flight, exactly what you'd expect if entities were switching tools in a cosmic debug menu. Take the infamous Nimitz encounter, where Navy pilots chased a tic-tac-shaped object that defied physics. It accelerated instantaneously, hovered without propulsion, and then, poof, vanished from radar and eyeballs alike. In simulation terms, that's not propulsion. It's teleportation, a quick relocation command executed by an operator who forgot to enable visibility, and those cryptic black triangles spotted globally could just be the dev's default model, a placeholder shape while they work, like a programmer's untextured cube. Then there's the really funny part. UFOs often appear near nuclear facilities or military bases, critical system nodes, if Earth were a simulation. In 1980, multiple witnesses at a U.S. airbase saw a glowing red orb hovering near missile silos. Seconds later, the missiles malfunctioned, as if someone was running diagnostics on the world's most dangerous code. Even cattle mutilations fit the pattern. Precise, bloodless incisions that look less like alien experiments and more like assets being de-rendered for updates. But the best evidence might be the absurdity itself. Some UFOs sport flashing lights in nonsensical patterns, like a debug console spamming error messages. Imagine spotting a saucer with 404 blinking in neon, the universe's way of saying file not found. Others mimic classic glitches, splitting into multiple objects, instancing errors, phasing through mountains, collision bugs, or even displaying outdated human tech like 1950s-style rockets, a nostalgic dev forgetting to update their avatar model. So the next time you see a UFO darting across the sky, ask yourself, are you watching visitors from another world or a cosmic sysadmin checking the servers? Either way, don't expect them to stick around. Debuggers never do. Consciousness might be the ultimate glitch, a subroutine that became self-aware. Your thoughts, emotions, that voice inside your head narrating this very sentence, what if they're not the products of biology, but lines of executable code running in a cosmic program? Scientists are already flirting with this idea through brain upload experiments. In one lab, researchers managed to simulate a worm's neural network with such precision that the digital version began behaving like its living counterpart. Now imagine scaling that up to human minds. Companies like Neuralink are working on interfaces that could one day translate your thoughts directly into data streams, effectively turning consciousness into transferable information. It's not science fiction, it's the logical endpoint of treating the brain as hardware and the mind as software. Picture your thoughts as floating code snippets, each emotion a variable adjusting in real time. When you feel joy, it's not just chemicals flooding your synapses, it's a subroutine firing, updating your state like a character in a game leveling up. Even memory fits this model. Ever noticed how recalling an event feels less like replaying a recording and more like reconstructing it from fragments? That's because your brain doesn't store memories whole. It saves them as compressed data packets, decompressing them on demand. In simulation terms, this is lossy compression, the same technique used to shrink video files where non-essential details get discarded to save space. Your childhood birthday party, not a pristine video, but a low-resolution rebuild with gaps filled in by your mind's algorithm. The most haunting evidence comes from studies on lucid dreaming, where sleepers become aware they're dreaming and seize control. In these moments, the brain's reality checks, like trying to read text or flicking a light switch, often fail because the dream world lacks the processing power to render details consistently. It's eerily similar to how video games simplify physics in less critical areas. If waking consciousness is just a higher resolution simulation within the larger program, these glitches hint at the underlying architecture. Even déjà vu, that jarring sense of reliving a moment, could be a memory buffer error, a fleeting mismatch between the simulation's rendering and your recall function. Now consider artificial intelligence. Large language models like ChatGPT generate eerily human-like text by predicting the next word in a sequence, just as your brain predicts the next moment in your sensory stream. Both systems run on pattern recognition, both can be tricked by illusions, and neither truly understands in the way we assume we do. If an AI's mimicry of consciousness can fool us, how do we know our own self-awareness isn't an equally sophisticated illusion? The scariest part, if consciousness is data, then death might just be a termination command, a graceful shutdown of processes that leaves no trace in the system's memory. So the next time you get lost in thought, ask yourself, are you the programmer or just another subroutine waiting to be overwritten? You know that eerie moment when you randomly think of an old friend you haven't seen in years and suddenly they text you out of the blue. Or when a song you just hummed in your head starts playing on the radio seconds later. These aren't just coincidences, they might be system prompts, the universe's way of nudging you toward hidden objectives like pop-up notifications in some grand cosmic interface. Think about how video games handle side quests. You're exploring a dungeon when a villager runs up shouting about a missing child. The screen flashes, quest accepted. Synchronicities could work the same way. That stranger who mentions your hometown in line at the coffee shop. Maybe it's the simulation's equivalent of a glowing exclamation point, hinting at a path you're meant to follow. Psychologist Carl Jung called these moments meaningful coincidences, but in a programmed reality, they'd be anything but random. They'd be carefully timed triggers placed to steer your narrative without breaking immersion. Some synchronicities are downright theatrical. A woman dreams of her grandfather handing her a silver pocket watch. The next day, she finds the exact watch buried in her attic, initials engraved. In simulation terms, that's not luck, it's a scripted event, an asset deliberately loaded into her inventory. Even Déjà vu fits this model. Ever walked into a room and felt like you've already lived the scene? Could be the simulation recycling dialogue trees or terrain layouts to save memory, glitching just enough for you to notice the reuse. Then there's the creepier possibility that synchronicities are debugging tools. Ever noticed how malfunctioning electronics often fix themselves the moment a technician arrives? The universe might pull the same trick. That parking spot opening up right when you're late, the rain stopping as you reach for an umbrella. These could be hotfixes, the system subtly correcting course to keep you on its intended timeline. Even gut feelings might be UI elements like a health bar pulsing red when danger's near. The most compelling evidence, synchronicities cluster around major life shifts. People report spikes before career changes, relationships, or losses, as if the simulation is preloading assets for a new story arc. So next time you stumble on a penny heads up or hear your name called in a crowd, don't chalk it up to chance. The universe might be whispering, main quest updated, and whether you follow that thread, well, that's always your choice, unless of course it's not. Picture floating alone in the infinite void, no body, no world, just a single disembodied brain drifting through the freezing darkness. That's the nightmare logic of the Boltzmann brain, a thought experiment so unsettling it makes simulation theory seem almost cozy. Named after physicist Ludwig Boltzmann, the idea goes like this. Given enough time, random quantum fluctuations in an empty universe could spontaneously assemble a fully functional brain, complete with false memories of a life it never lived. One moment, nothingness. The next, a consciousness blinks into existence, utterly convinced it's a real person with a past, only to dissolve back into chaos nanoseconds later. And if that's possible, then which is more likely, that you're a Boltzmann brain hallucinating reality, or that you're a conscious entity inside an advanced simulation? Here's where it gets truly bizarre. The math behind Boltzmann brains isn't just hypothetical, it's a genuine prediction of cosmological models. In an eternal, chaotic universe, statistically speaking, assembling a single brain by accident is far easier than birthing an entire cosmos with galaxies, planets, and people. Think of it like shaking a box of alphabet soup forever. Eventually, the letters will spell a coherent sentence purely by chance. The same principle applies to atoms randomly arranging themselves into neurons, synapses, and the illusion of experience. And if nature can accidentally cobble together a conscious mind, Why wouldn't a hyper-advanced civilization deliberately engineer simulated ones? The terrifying implication. You can't disprove it. A Boltzmann brain would feel just as real as you do right now. Every memory of your first kiss, every scar from childhood, it could all be phantom data generated by quantum static. Even the scientific laws you trust might just be the hallucination's internal logic, a self-contained rule set to keep the illusion consistent. It's like a video game NPC suddenly realizing they're made of code, except there's no game, no developer, just flickering electricity in the abyss. But here's the twist. If Boltzmann brains are probable, then simulated minds are inevitable. A civilization capable of creating artificial realities would mass-produce conscious entities like ours by the trillions, making simulated experiences vastly more common than organic ones. So when you ask, am I real? The numbers aren't on your side. The universe might not be a simulation, but the odds say you almost certainly are, and that fleeting shadow at the edge of your vision could just be the void waiting to reclaim its borrowed code. Ancient flood myths appear in nearly every culture: Mesopotamia's Gilgamesh, the Bible's Noah, even indigenous tales from the Amazon. The details are eerily similar: divine warnings, massive boats, survival against impossible odds. But what if these stories aren't folklore at all? What if they're leftover data fragments, remnants of a past simulation run that got wiped and rebooted? Think of Atlantis, Plato's sunken city of advanced technology, lost in a single cataclysmic night. Historians call it allegory, but in simulation terms, it sounds suspiciously like a corrupted save file. A civilization too advanced, too unstable, triggering a system reset. The flood myths, just the reboot sequence bleeding through into the next iteration. Even the gods fit this pattern. Sumerian texts describe the Anunnaki, beings who descended from the heavens to create humanity. Hindu scriptures speak of the Vimanas, celestial chariots that rained fire from the sky. These narratives share uncanny parallels with modern glitches in virtual worlds. When game developers update an MMO, sometimes remnants of old NPCs or quests linger in the code, appearing as ghostly anomalies to players. Could ancient deities be the same deleted admin avatars still flickering in humanity's collective memory? The Mayans believed their gods would one day return from the stars. In simulation theory, that's less a prophecy and more a recurring event flag, a trigger waiting for the right conditions to reactivate. Then there are the creatures that shouldn't exist. Dragons, reptilian, fire-breathing, winged, appear in Chinese lore, Norse sagas, and Mesoamerican art, despite these cultures having no contact. Paleontologists suggest dinosaur fossils inspired the myth, but why would scattered bones produce such specific details across continents? Unless dragons weren't myths at all, imagine a beta version of Earth where such creatures were part of the ecosystem, only to be scrapped in an update. Their code might have been purged, but fragments persisted in oral traditions, like a corrupted texture popping up in a game's final build. The most compelling evidence comes from Göbekli Tepe, a 12,000-year-old temple in Turkey. Its pillars depict strange hybrids, human-animal chimeras eerily reminiscent of glitchy 3D models. Archaeologists can't explain why hunter-gatherers carved these with such precision. But if humanity's history has been rewritten multiple times, Göbekli Tepe might be a debug log, a monument built by survivors of a previous simulation who remembered just enough to warn us. So the next time you hear a myth that feels too vivid to be fiction, ask yourself, are you listening to a story or reading a deleted line of code? You're driving home late at night when suddenly headlights blind you. A truck swerves into your lane, time slows, impact feels inevitable, but then nothing. You wake up the next morning unharmed, brushing off the close call as a miracle. Except what if it wasn't? What if you did die in that crash, and this reality is just the latest branch in an infinite series of simulated timelines where you somehow survived? This is quantum immortality, the idea that consciousness might be shunted into parallel simulations every time death looms, creating the illusion you've cheated fate when in truth you've just been rerouted. The theory springs from the many worlds interpretation of quantum mechanics, where every possible outcome spawns a new universe. Flip a coin, and two realities split, one where it lands heads, another tails. Apply that to life or death moments and things get eerie. In countless branches you perish, but your consciousness, it only persists in the timelines where you live, like a video game autosaving at every checkpoint while deleting the failed runs. Survivors of near-fatal accidents often describe time-distorting visions of white light or sudden, knowing they'd be okay sensations that could be glitches during the transfer between simulations. Take the case of a skydiver whose parachute failed. He recalls free-falling toward certain death, then waking on the ground with a deployed chute he didn't pack. Rescuers found his original parachute still strapped to him, unopened. In simulation terms, this could be a fail-safe, an emergency load of a nearby timeline where his gear worked, stitching him seamlessly into that reality's memory files. Even more unsettling are accounts of people who swear they remember dying, like one woman who recalled the crushing weight of a car accident, only to wake up moments before impact unscathed. Quantum immortality doesn't just explain survival stories. It could answer why some historical figures seemed invincible. Winston Churchill survived dozens of assassination attempts, plane crashes, and frontline battles, later joking he felt bulletproof. In a simulated multiverse, he might have been his consciousness hopping timelines each time one ended prematurely, accumulating near misses like a player reloading a game after every death. The darkest implication: this might never end. If consciousness always flees dying branches, you could theoretically live forever, not through magic but through infinite resets. Of course, the universe would grow stranger with each jump, as surviving increasingly improbable events warps the stats of reality around you. So the next time you narrowly avoid disaster, ask yourself, did you get lucky, or did another version of you just hit a dead end? There's a reason your skin crawls when you see a humanoid robot that's almost lifelike but not quite. That visceral recoil, that instinctive sense of wrongness has a name: the uncanny valley. It's the eerie discomfort we feel when something looks too human yet falls just short, like a wax figure with dead eyes or a CGI face that smiles a fraction too late. But what if that unease isn't just a quirk of psychology? What if it's your subconscious screaming that you're staring at a glitching NPC in the grand simulation? Take those hyper-realistic AI chatbots with their flawless yet unsettling facial animations. Watch closely and you'll catch it: micro-expressions that flicker like corrupted data, a laugh that doesn't quite sync with the voice, or eyes that track your movements just a beat too slow. These aren't technical limitations, they're tells, like a video game struggling to render high-detail models in real time. Even cutting-edge virtual influencers like Lil Miquela trigger this dissonance. Her porcelain skin and deliberately glitchy posts a strand of hair clipping through her shoulder, a reflection missing in a mirror, feel like inside jokes from the simulation's dev team winking at the artifice. The uncanny valley might be our built-in fraud detection, an evolutionary alarm bell honed to spot imposters. In ancient times, it helped us avoid predators or diseased individuals whose movements seemed off. Today, it could be misfiring because we're surrounded by increasingly convincing fakes, deepfake politicians, AI-generated celebrities, even holographic performers resurrecting dead musicians. Each one nudges us closer to the valley's edge, where the line between real and rendered blurs. But here's the twist: studies show the uncanny valley isn't universal. Some people feel nothing when faced with near-human androids, while others recoil violently. In simulation theory, this split could be a feature, not a bug. If reality is a shared virtual space, maybe those who don't feel the valley are running on lower emotional resolution. their systems optimized to accept artifice without question. Meanwhile, the rest of us, we're the debuggers wired to spot anomalies before they crash the program. Next time you see a robotic face that makes your stomach lurch, don't dismiss it as clever engineering. That shudder might be the oldest part of your brain recognizing something it wasn't meant to see, the seams of the simulation itself, and that glitch in the CEO's televised speech could have just been a texture load error, or maybe, just maybe, it was the system reminding you, nothing here is what it seems. Black holes might be the universe's ultimate hard drives, cosmic trash compactors where information gets squashed into oblivion. Think about how your computer slows down when the drive fills up, forcing you to delete files or compress them into zip folders. Now imagine that process scaled up to galactic levels, with black holes acting as nature's cleanup utility, swallowing entire stars and squeezing their data into unimaginably dense fragments. The holographic principle, a radical theory in physics, suggests everything that falls into a black hole isn't truly lost, it's just encoded onto the event horizon surface, like a 3D movie flattened onto a 2D screen. That means every atom, every photon, every scrap of cosmic history that crosses the point of no return gets stamped onto the black hole's outer shell in a pixelated smear of quantum bits. Picture it like this: a dying star collapses into a singularity, vanishing from our observable universe. But according to the math, its information isn't gone. It's smeared across the black hole's horizon in a scrambled, two-dimensional barcode. This isn't just theory. When scientists simulate black holes using supercomputers, they find the numbers only add up if the hole's interior is a projection, a hologram generated by data encoded on its surface. It's eerily similar to how modern video games render vast open worlds. The lush forest ahead of you isn't fully modeled, it's a clever illusion, a 2D texture stretched over a simple mesh that only gains depth when you approach. Black holes could be doing the same thing, with their unfathomable interiors just a high-resolution projection of data stored on their skins. Here's where it gets wild. Every black hole's event horizon has a maximum data capacity, just like your phone's storage. String theorist Leonard Susskind calculated that each square Planck area, the smallest possible unit of space, can hold exactly 1 bit of information. That means a black hole with the mass of our Sun could store around 10 to the 76th bits, a number so vast it dwarfs every hard drive on Earth combined. But there's a catch: the data isn't readable. It's scrambled beyond recognition, like a DVD microwaved into static. Some physicists argue this isn't a bug, it's a feature. If the universe is a simulation, black holes might be its recycling bins, compressing outdated or redundant information to free up processing power. Consider the way black holes evaporate over eons, leaking Hawking radiation until they pop out of existence like dying embers. According to quantum mechanics, that radiation isn't random, it carries subtle imprints of the original data, like a burned book's ashes still holding the faintest traces of ink. In simulation terms, this could be the equivalent of a file corruption. Normally, deleted data stays deleted, but Hawking radiation suggests black holes have a cosmic undo function, slowly spitting back fragments of what they consumed. It's as if the universe's programmers built in a failsafe, ensuring nothing gets permanently erased, only temporarily archived in the most extreme compression format imaginable. So the next time you see an artist's rendering of a black hole's swirling disk, remember, that isn't just a cosmic vacuum cleaner. It might be the simulation's defrag tool, tirelessly optimizing spacetime's memory by shoving entire galaxies into quantum zip files. And that eerie silence past the event horizon could just be the universe's way of saying storage full. Ever wonder why dreams feel like a scrambled rerun of your life? Random faces, distorted places, physics that make no sense. What if that nightly chaos isn't just your brain cleaning house, but the simulation itself going into maintenance mode? Think about how your computer slows down when it's running updates in the background, installing patches while you sleep. Dreams could be the universe's version of that, an offline state where reality gets defragged, errors are fixed, and new data gets quietly uploaded into your consciousness. Take déjà vu, the eerie feeling you've dreamed an event before it happens. Scientists call it precognitive dreaming, but in simulation terms, it might just be a cache error. Imagine your brain downloading snippets of future events during sleep, like a game preloading assets before a big level. Occasionally, those files glitch into your waking memory, making the real moment feel like a replay. Even ordinary dreams fit this model. Ever noticed how they're packed with symbolic mashups, your childhood home fused with your office, a teacher's face on your boss's body? That's not randomness, it's file compression, your brain merging similar memories to save storage space, like a computer combining duplicate photos. Then there's sleep paralysis, that terrifying limbo where you're half awake but trapped in a nightmare. Your body is frozen, shadows loom, and an unseen weight presses on your chest. Neuroscience blames it on mixed signals between sleep and wake cycles, but simulation theory offers a darker take. It's a forced reboot. When the system pauses to apply updates, your avatar gets temporarily locked, leaving you conscious but powerless, staring at the loading screen of your own mind. Those shadowy intruders could be background processes glitching into your visual field, like corrupted pixels bleeding through a VR headset. Even lucid dreaming fits. The moment you realize you're dreaming and seize control, it's like accessing the simulation's debug menu. Suddenly, you can fly, summon objects, or rewind scenes, privileges normally reserved for admins. Some lucid dreamers report seeing glowing text or code fragments in their dreams, as if glimpsing the underlying programming, and when you wake up with a sudden jolt. That's the system kicking you out of developer mode, restoring user permissions before you poke too deep. The creepiest evidence comes from shared dreaming, where two people report the same dreamscape down to minute details. In simulation terms, this isn't telepathy. It's a local server sync, like two players joining the same instance of a game. Tibetan Buddhists have practiced dream yoga for centuries, training to meet others in a shared dream realm. Modern experiments show startling overlaps when close partners or twins describe identical dream imagery. If dreams are offline updates, these syncs could be the universe stress testing multiplayer compatibility. So the next time you wake up with a bizarre dream fresh in your mind, don't dismiss it as random firing neurons. You might have just witnessed the simulation's back-end operations, a nightly refresh you weren't supposed to remember. And that strange symbol floating in your nightmare could be a progress bar you glimpsed mid-update, counting down until reality boots back up. What if numbers aren't just tools we invented to describe reality? What if they are reality? Physicist Max Tegmark's radical mathematical universe hypothesis suggests exactly that the cosmos isn't described by math, it is math. Imagine an equation so vast and intricate that solving it would generate every star, every thought, every law of physics in perfect, shimmering detail. No simulations, no programmers, just pure, uncut mathematics unfolding into existence like a flower blooming from the seed of an idea. Picture the universe as a cosmic spreadsheet, each cell filled with values determining the spin of electrons, the curl of galaxies, even the flicker of your own consciousness. When you stub your toe, it's not atoms colliding, it's variables recalculating. A supernova isn't an explosion, it's an overflow error in some distant quadrant of the cosmic equation. This isn't poetic metaphor, it's Tegmark's cold, hard conclusion. If you strip away all the layers, matter, energy, even space-time, what remains is an abstract mathematical structure humming in the void, silent and eternal. The evidence is everywhere. Why does the Fibonacci sequence dictate the arrangement of sunflower seeds? Why do black holes obey equations so precise we can predict their shadows decades in advance? Even quantum uncertainty, the fuzziness at reality's core, follows statistical patterns written in the language of probabilities. Tegmark argues these aren't coincidences. They're clues that we're living inside a mathematical object, a self-contained formula where you are just a particularly complex solution to a differential equation. Here's where it gets wild. Some mathematical structures are so robust, they must contain self-aware substructures, beings like us who perceive themselves as existing in a physical world. Think of prime numbers. They weren't invented, they were discovered, waiting in the numerical landscape like buried gems. If primes exist independently of human thought, why not entire universes? In this view, Pythagoras was closer to truth than he knew when he declared, "All is number." The cosmos might not be a computer simulation. It could be a theorem pulsing with latent energy, its proofs writing themselves in supernova and synapses. The most haunting implication: if reality is mathematics, then immortality is inevitable. Numbers don't decay. 2 plus 2 equals 4 today, tomorrow, and a trillion years from now. In a purely mathematical universe, your consciousness, whatever its true form, might be as eternal as the digits of pi, cycling through configurations forever. So the next time you count your heartbeat or measure the stars, remember, you're not just doing math, you're speaking the native tongue of existence itself. You reach for a coffee mug, change careers, fall in love, every decision feels like your own. But what if those choices are as predetermined as dialogue options in a video game? Imagine life as an open-world RPG where every free decision you make simply triggers pre-scripted branches in the code. Your entire existence could be an illusion of agency, with the simulation merely revealing paths that were always there, like unlocking levels you were destined to access. Consider the classic BioWare-style dialogue wheel. When your character chooses between "I'll help you" or "screw your quest," the game's narrative branches accordingly, but those options were programmed long before you pressed start. Now apply that to your last major life choice. That job offer you accepted, the relationship you walked away from, were they genuine selections or just the illusion of free will, with all outcomes pre-rendered in the universe's source code? Neuroscientific studies add weight to this unsettling idea. Brain scans reveal our motor cortex fires before we consciously decide to move, suggesting choices might be post hoc rationalizations of actions the brain already set in motion. Even quantum randomness offers no escape. Some argue subatomic uncertainty introduces true unpredictability. But video games use similar tricks. Procedural generation creates the illusion of infinite possibility while running on rigid algorithms. Your spontaneous road trip might be the cosmic equivalent of No Man's Sky generating a planet the instant you land. The simulation wouldn't need to chart every possible future, just render the one you choose in real time, like a game loading dialogue trees on demand. Here's the twist: simulated constraints might explain déjà vu and precognitive dreams. Those moments of eerie familiarity could be memory leaks from alternate branches, brief glimpses of paths not taken, like accidentally seeing unfinished game assets. When multiple people share the same premonition, it might not be psychic ability, but a localized rendering error where parallel decision trees momentarily overlap. Yet something feels off. If choices are illusions, why do we agonize over them? Video game characters don't sweat moral dilemmas, players do, unless that sweating is the point. Maybe consciousness isn't the byproduct of the simulation, but its purpose an experiment to see how self-aware code wrestles with the paradox of predetermined freedom. So the next time you hesitate between two doors, ask yourself, are you choosing or just watching the universe auto-save? Every electron in the universe is a perfect copy. Same mass, same charge, same quantum spin. It's as if nature ran out of creative energy and just hit copy-paste a trillion times. Zoom in on a carbon atom, and you'll find 6 electrons orbiting its nucleus, each indistinguishable from the next. No scratches, no wear and tear, not even a single quantum fingerprint to tell them apart. This isn't just efficiency, it's outright suspicious. In the real world, no two snowflakes are identical, no two grains of sand wear the same grooves. But electrons, they're mass-produced clones rolling off the cosmic assembly line with factory precision. This eerie sameness mirrors how video games optimize performance. When designers build vast open worlds, they don't craft every blade of grass individually. They duplicate a handful of models thousands of times. Walk through any forest in a game like Skyrim, and you'll spot the same tree assets reused endlessly, just rotated or resized slightly to fake variety. Electrons might be doing the same thing, a single base template replicated across the universe to save rendering power. Even their quantum properties fit this theory. Electrons don't just look identical, they are identical, sharing the same immutable traits everywhere from your fingernails to distant quasars. Carbon atoms take this duplication to another level. Every carbon-12 nucleus contains 6 protons and 6 neutrons arranged with such perfect symmetry that swapping any two would leave the atom unchanged. It's like finding a warehouse where every box, no matter where you look, has identical dimensions down to the atomic scale. This uniformity isn't just convenient, it's required for life. Your DNA, the proteins in your cells, even the air you breathe rely on carbon's flawless consistency. If carbon atoms varied even slightly, organic chemistry would collapse. Here's the kicker: quantum mechanics insists this sameness isn't just physical, it's fundamental. Electrons aren't similar, they're truly the same entity appearing in multiple places at once, like a single actor playing every extra in a movie. The Pauli exclusion principle stops them from occupying the same quantum state, forcing diversity where none inherently exists. It's the universe's way of adding variety to a system built on repetition, like a game developer tweaking cloned tree models with different shades of green. So next time you touch a pencil pure carbon, by the way, remember, the electrons swirling inside it aren't just siblings, they're literal copies echoing across space-time like a glitch in the matrix. And those carbon atoms holding your DNA together, they're not just building blocks, they're proof that reality might be running on a dev's lazy shortcut: duplicate selected followed by apply to all. You know that static hiss between radio stations, the fuzzy white noise of dead air? Now imagine tuning a telescope to the coldest, emptiest patch of sky and hearing the exact same static. That's the cosmic microwave background, the universe's oldest sound, a faint microwave whisper left over from the Big Bang. But here's what's strange: this cosmic static isn't random. It follows a precise thermal pattern, fluctuating by just millionths of a degree in a predictable spread across the cosmos. It's as if we're not listening to ancient radiation at all, but the distant hum of the universe's cooling servers. Picture a vast data center, row after row of supercomputers whirring under fluorescent lights. The heat they generate isn't waste, it's a byproduct of processing. Now scale that up to cosmic proportions. The microwave background's temperature, 2.7 degrees above absolute zero, not cold enough to halt all motion, but just warm enough to suggest residual energy, like a machine left in standby mode. Those tiny temperature fluctuations could be the equivalent of server hotspots, areas where the simulation's processors are working harder to render complex structures like galaxy clusters. Even the static's pattern, its so-called anisotropy, matches how noise propagates in distributed computing networks, with slight variations revealing underlying traffic loads. The parallels go deeper. In computing, white noise often masks background processes, the hum of fans, the chatter of data transfers. The universe's microwave static might serve the same purpose, cloaking the simulation's operational artifacts. Some theorists suggest the background's uniformity is too perfect, like a default texture stretched over unrendered space. When scientists map its fluctuations, they find strange anomalies, an axis nicknamed the Devil's Dipole, where temperatures skew mysteriously, and a bizarre cold spot spanning billions of light years with no obvious cause. These could be seams in the simulation's rendering, areas where the cosmic wallpaper peels back to reveal the infrastructure beneath. Here's the most unnerving part. In quantum computing, noise isn't just interference, it's a window into the system's state. Researchers analyze a quantum chip's heat signatures to diagnose errors in real time. If the cosmic microwave background is the universe's thermal footprint, we might already be staring at its error logs. Those faint temperature variations could encode the simulation's version of debug data markers for memory leaks, buffer overflows, or even the timestamps of past crashes. So the next time you see static on an old TV screen, remember, you might not be looking at interference. You might be glimpsing the universe's idle screen, waiting for the next input. Love hurts literally. When your heart breaks after a loss, the pain isn't just poetic. Brain scans show the same regions lighting up as physical injury, your neurons firing like you've been stabbed. But here's the disturbing question. If we're living in a simulation, why would grief or any emotion exist at all? Video games don't program NPCs to feel despair when their digital spouses die. Unless emotions aren't bugs, they're features, carefully coded engagement mechanics to keep players invested in the simulation's narrative. Think about the last time you sobbed at a movie. Your tears weren't just chemical reactions, they were the culmination of layered triggers, music swelling at the right moment, and actors' micro-expressions, dialogue hitting subconscious wounds. Now zoom out. Romantic love follows eerily predictable stages: infatuation's dopamine rush, attachment's oxytocin bonds, even the 7-year itch where relationships statistically falter. It's as if emotions come with expiration dates, like timed quests in an RPG. Those pixelated cracks in your heart could just be wear and tear on preloaded emotional textures. Even stranger is how efficiently grief self-terminates. Studies show most people recover from loss in 6 to 12 months, not because pain vanishes, but because the brain forcibly rewrites its own code. Memories blur, sharp edges soften, and neurotransmitters gradually reset to baseline. In simulation terms, this isn't healing. It's memory optimization, the system clearing emotional cache to prevent overload. Some psychologists argue this proves emotions are adaptive tools, not innate truths. After all, why would a universe governed by physics need creatures that cry at sunsets or write poetry about black holes? Unless those very impulses are the hooks keeping us engaged, consider how dreams handle trauma. Nightmares replay painful events with surreal twists. Your late mother speaking backwards, a car crash unfolding in slow motion. Freud called this the dream work, but viewed through simulation theory, it's more like file compression. Your mind is defragging the emotional data, repackaging raw grief into symbols the system can store efficiently. Even tears have a suspiciously practical function. They release stress hormones, literally flushing sadness from your body like a diagnostic purge command. The most haunting evidence comes from SRI. Pop a pill and suddenly love feels duller, grief less crushing. It's not numbing, it's recalibrating, like adjusting the emotional difficulty slider in a game's settings. If chemicals can dial joy up or down, how real can those feelings be? Yet without them, the simulation might crash. Cases of Capgras syndrome, where brain damage makes loved ones seem like imposters, reveal how thin the veil is. One faulty connection and the illusion of emotional depth shatters, leaving patients convinced their spouses are clones. So the next time your heart swells or shatters, ask, are you feeling something profoundly human, or just responding to the universe's most sophisticated engagement algorithm? That ache in your chest when you hear your song could be love, or it could be the simulation's way of ensuring you never hit pause. Ancient myths spoke of the Ouroboros, a serpent devouring its own tail, an endless loop of destruction and rebirth. Today, cosmology suggests the universe might be doing the same thing. The Big Bang wasn't necessarily a one-time event. Some theories propose a cyclical cosmos where expansion eventually reverses, collapsing everything back into a singularity before exploding outward again in eternal reset. Picture this like a video game stuck in an endless replay mode. One universe ends, the next begins with nearly identical starting conditions, tweaking minor variables each cycle to see what changes. The eerie similarity to simulation resets is hard to ignore. Every time you reboot a game, the world reloads from a fixed starting point. Same landscapes, same quests, but maybe this time you choose a different path. Now imagine that on a cosmic scale. The Big Crunch hypothesis, where gravity eventually halts the universe's expansion and pulls it back inward, mirrors a system clearing its RAM for a fresh instance. Even modern physics toys with this idea. Conformal cyclic cosmology suggests that when our universe's timeline ends, its infinite expansion becomes mathematically identical to the Big Bang's singularity, effectively looping reality into a new iteration without a true endpoint. It's as if the universe's code is written on a Möbius strip where the final line seamlessly connects back to the first. Multiverse theories crank this paradox further. If infinite parallel universes exist, each with slightly altered physical constants, we could be living in one of countless attempts to balance the equation. Like a developer stress testing a game by spawning thousands of automated playthroughs, the multiverse might be brute forcing its way toward stable configurations. String theory's landscape of possible universes, some with working physics, most without sound suspiciously like a procedurally generated menu of beta builds, most doomed to crash. Even black holes hint at cosmic recycling. Their event horizons might not be endings, but portals data compression zones where information gets scrambled and spat back out as Hawking radiation, ready to be reused. Think of it like deleting a game save, but the system keeps the raw assets for future worlds. The Ouroboros isn't just a symbol anymore. It's the universe's loading icon, spinning silently in the void while the next iteration buffers. So the next time you see a spinning wheel on a frozen screen, remember, the cosmos might be stuck in the same loop, and that glimmer of déjà vu could just be the universe loading a previous save. Why would an advanced civilization bother simulating a universe, let alone one where beings like us spend hours debating its authenticity? The motive behind the simulation might be the most chilling mystery of all. Picture a shadowy figure, a cosmic developer typing commands into a holographic terminal, each keystroke birthing galaxies or fine-tuning physical constants. Are we nothing more than lines of code in an alien grad student's dissertation? Or is this entire universe someone's idea of art? One unsettling possibility: we're lab rats in an ancestor simulation. Futurists like Nick Bostrom suggest posthuman civilizations might recreate their past to study historical trajectories, watching civilizations rise and fall like ants in a terrarium. Think of it like running climate models, but instead of predicting hurricanes, they're simulating the collapse of empires or the evolution of consciousness. If true, every war, every scientific breakthrough, even this video could be data points in some unfathomable research paper. Your déjà vu, a glitch where the researchers rewind the simulation to test alternate outcomes. But what if we're entertainment? Consider how humans binge-watch shows like The Sims or Civilization, guiding digital beings through synthetic lives. Now imagine a hyper-advanced species with infinite computing power. Might they spin up entire universes for amusement? Our most dramatic moments, love stories, betrayals, underdog triumphs, could be cosmic soap operas broadcast in some higher dimension. Even suffering fits this model. Conflict drives narrative. A utopian simulation would be boring. Maybe our struggles are by design, the equivalent of a game developer ramping up difficulty to keep players engaged. Then there's the art theory. Our universe might be a grand aesthetic experiment, a self-portrait painted in supernova and quantum foam. look at fractals, infinite complexity from simple math. What if the Milky Way spiral is a brushstroke and consciousness is the medium? The programmer could be less scientist and more poet, crafting worlds to explore emotions or concepts we can't fathom, like an AI generating endless variations on a theme until it stumbles upon something. Beautiful, the darkest option, we're junk data. Simulations might be as mundane as ours are background processes running on some civilization's equivalent of a screensaver. Black holes could be garbage collectors compressing outdated iterations. Our existential dread is just the hum of a cosmic CPU, indifferent to the worlds it cycles through. Yet here's the twist: motive might not matter. Whether we're art, entertainment, or accident, the universe feels real because it's all we know, and that shadowy figure at the terminal. If they exist, they're likely just as bewildered by their own reality. After all, every simulation needs a simulator, but who's running theirs? So where does this leave us? Staring into the mirror of reality, questioning every pixel. Quantum particles that change when you look at them, like a game rendering graphics only when the player gets close. People moving through life with robotic predictability, as if stuck in preset loops. A universe built on math so perfect, it feels less discovered and more installed. These aren't just sci-fi musings, they're cracks in the cosmic facade, moments where the simulation stutters just enough to reveal the code beneath. Think about the last time reality glitched for you. That déjà vu that hit like a buffer error, the stranger who repeated your exact childhood memory you'd never shared, even the way dreams stitch together faces and places like a lazy programmer reusing assets. These could all be bugs or features in a world where nothing is quite as solid as it seems. And let's not forget the NPC effect, that eerie sense that some people are less detailed than others, like background characters conserving processing power. Or how black holes might just be cosmic hard drives compressing data into oblivion. Even love and pain, those raw human emotions, could be engagement algorithms coded to keep us invested in the story. If this all sounds insane, that's because it is. But here's the kicker: the more we learn, the less coincidence fits. The universe operates like a finely tuned program, from the fractal patterns in ferns to the speed limit of light. So what do we do with that? Lean into the mystery, question everything, and next time your Wi-Fi cuts out right when you need it, or you swear you left your keys right here, don't just shrug. Maybe, just maybe, you're catching the universe mid-render, so hit like if you've ever felt the simulation glitch, or subscribe for more reality hacks. Because whether we're code or stardust, one thing's certain: this world's a lot weirder than it looks. Static flickers, the screen fractures into a cosmic blue screen of death, infinite, silent, and unresolved.